your turn to
Oh, is it for me?
consider yourself fired.
Why are you winking at me?
Consider yourself fired.
Hello, and welcome to the JT and Drew Show. I'm JT,
And I'm Drew.
and we're two nobodies talking about nothing.
Consider yourself fired.
Hey, bud.
All right. Hey.
How's it going?
Man, it is I don't know, it's kind of a weird place, right? Like sometimes time is flying by, but at the same time I feel like some of the days are just really dragging.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think today was like that.
It sure was, man. I tell you what. I felt like the workday was just not going to end.
But it went by fast. So
Yeah, eventually it did.
yeah. Well, good. All right. Well, I do have to say that you and I had a lovely conversation just a few moments ago.
We sure did.
And we didn't get any of that audio.
We sure didn't.
So
I believe they have a word for that in the biz.
uh-huh.
That's short for business.
Oh.
Yeah, I believe the word is amateur.
Yeah. I think they like to use that in comedy shows as amateur hour.
Yes, amateur hour, also known to the younger folk, or the kids, as it were, party foul.
Ooh, I got to learn something new every day.
Man, stay off my grass.
Oh, turtle.
Yes, turtle. Definitely.
I don't know why that's still funny, but it is.
It is.
So
It is definitely. But yeah, so I know we've been talking over the past few days, coming up with ideas, new topics, and I mean, it's really not hard to find something every day. A lot of the stuff is repetitive, but it seems like there's something going on every single day out in the world. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, and well, it's hard to find something that's not having to do with the country, with the United States right now. So that's not hard, but finding other topics seems to be a little. You've got to dig a little bit to find them. I wouldn't say hard. You just got to dig a little bit.
True. Yeah, you got to dig.
So, and
Speaking of digging,
yeah,
I heard, and I could be wrong, but I heard that's actually, well, maybe not digging, but it's a technique, if you will, to try to contain fires.
yeah,
Like make a perimeter.
yeah, make a perimeter
of sorts.
Yeah, to try and keep the fire from spreading underneath the ground and getting through the roots and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did you
guys
bring that up?
Well, I was trying to remember. It's been hot out here, but I was trying to remember. It was especially hot a few weeks ago, and there was a wildfire that actually wasn't that far from you.
Oh yeah, how could I forget?
I think it burned a little over 11,000 acres.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
big for our area,
Sure.
but it's not the biggest, that's occurred.
Right.
We have nowhere to put, we have no voice really to say that, oh my gosh, we were in one of the biggest fires of the year. I think there was one that was north, like way north of us, just around like where the Panhandle, the Red River kind of start making in the top of Texas, where it's kind of wavy in between Oklahoma and Texas. There was one out there that was even bigger around the same time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but we've got nothing compared to California and Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No joke.
Oh, and
it seems like every year there's wildfires in California.
yeah, and so it's funny you bring that up. So I was researching, prior to the show.
Sure.
But I was researching, like, what's getting all of these these wildfires, who's doing them? Is it people that are kind of like, oh, hey, let's go out camping, let's do a barbecue, let's do a smoke out, let's do whatever, and they just kind of lose track, or not really creating a fire pit like a actual fire pit?
Right. Folks that didn't necessarily pay attention to Smokey the Bear growing up.
Yeah, or don't pay attention to Les Strauss. Hopefully I don't get sued for using his name, but Les Strauss is really good. He is, if you don't know who he is he's the Survivor guy, is who he is. He's from Canada, and he's written many books, and he'll show you how to properly make a fire pit for
that's
like
cool.
survival situations if you're out in the wilderness or out in the bush, like they like to call it. But it's really interesting, a really interesting read. All of his books are. And but I was kind of researching some of this stuff, like what's causing all this, and I was kind of right in my research when it came to like what causes these wildfires, natural fires. But what I came across was anywhere. So it depends on where you look, because every website's got something a little different, and some of them say, as little. Well, I say as little, as low as 76% of all wildfires are created by a man-made something, right? Or it's up to about 90%. Again, it just depends on where you look. I was doing all this research, and fire pits are one of them. Tailgates, camping, and stuff like that. But also, which was really interesting, was people who are putting out cigarettes. Just like the cigarette butt, throw it on the highway.
Oh yeah, yep.
And that'll cause like a little grass fire, and then that grass fire grows, and that'll create a wildfire. I'm not 100% on what caused the one that was out here, but
well, there's an interesting statistic I found through the it's through the Texas A&M Forest Service.
Okay.
And what I found interesting was, as I read it, I was like, oh wow, this is spot on. It says no part of Texas is immune to wildfire. Statistics show 80% of wildfires occur within 2 miles of a community.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought that was pretty unique, because I know some of the folks that we work with live, or where they live is about 3 miles. The fire got within about 3 miles of where their homes were.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I thought where I was, further away from that, it was hot. There was a little bit of ash in the air and whatnot. But I mean, I could only imagine being that much closer to it, having all that extra heat, and like having to figure out, what are we going to do? Are we going to go? Are we packing up? Are we taking all the kids, or just some of the kids? Or,
Yeah, fend for yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned something interesting when you said, it could start as a little brush fire and then it can spread. And I know what we faced out here was the issue of the fire spreading, but we also had very high winds at the time.
Yes, we did. I was going to bring that up. Yes, the winds were just insane. I think we were getting gusts up to 55 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in that particular area where the fire was, there's, we call them mountains here. They're not really mountains. They're like plateaus. But there's
little anthills.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in that area where it started. And when the wind gets into that area, it'll push it even faster.
Oh, yeah.
So, hands down praise to all the firefighters and volunteers that were out there. Just
absolutely
fighting the fires. I'm hoping, and I was trying to do research on the local one, and there wasn't a whole lot of aftermath news reports or whatnot. But
I think they're still investigating.
I think so, but I really hope nobody lost their lives.
Yeah.
So that's the. I hope everybody was safe when they were fighting that, and can't thank them enough for putting out the fire. But I don't even think it got in. I don't even think it got 10 miles from us. It. So it was.
Yeah.
There's a town where it was. There's a town that's about 10 miles from me, and I think it just got like 3 miles outside of that town.
Yeah.
So and they were evacuating parts of that town, which was great. But then there was news reports as it was happening that the sheriff's department and whatnot were stretched thin. Right, they couldn't go get everybody, and so they were then making notifications via Facebook. Hey, if you're in this area, you need to evacuate, or if you're in this area, you seem to be fine. And so,
Right.
and it's
I
unfortunate.
think they were doing like hourly updates.
Yeah, but it's, you know, thinking of that, the older generation, right? Couple generations before us, aren't very tech savvy. And a lot of them
Sure.
don't have social media. So how are they going to get the message? And
Yeah.
I worried about that. So, but luckily, nothing happened. Everyone was very vigilant. You could see the planes flying over, dumping the water, or dumping that fire repellent chemical out of the planes, and then they'd fly back and go get more.
When we had so many, on top of the local fire departments, we had so many volunteer fire departments and volunteers from other cities. And I mean, I know of some folks from the Metroplex that went out to help fight the fires. And, it was a pretty cool thing to see and to learn about, that all these people were coming together to tackle this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you had some experience, not with this one, but with a previous one.
Oh, yeah.
You were telling me about that was before I got here.
Yeah, I think it was in either like 2010, 2011. I can't remember exactly. But one of the nearby lake communities, and I say nearby, probably an hour-ish, hour and a half away,
Okay.
was having some wildfire issues in their like campgrounds and trails and all that. And it was just spreading and spreading and spreading. And the base near us, I don't know how they worked it out, but they had a group or a couple different groups, units, whatever, of National Guard and Reserve from California that flew their special C-130s. I say they're special. They were equipped to drop water.
You're talking about the C-130s that have the bladder in them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would fill up wherever they would fill up, and then they would fly over to that community, and they would just keep making those trips back and forth all day. We had them here for, I want to say, at least a couple weeks.
Okay.
So we had received them here at the base out here, and we ran a reception line and got them lodging and, set them up so that all these air crews could do what they were here to do. And it was really neat. Again, kind of seeing how those resources were able to come together to tackle that.
Okay. I bet it was. I wish I was a part of it, but I was, at that time, was not in country. So, because that was right around the time that huge tornado, this is completely off subject, but that huge tornado went through Joplin, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2011. So, Joplin, Missouri got just basically flattened by this E5 tornado.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a bad year. It was a bad year. So
yeah, that doesn't sound too good.
no. There were a couple guys out there with me who had family in that area, and I think one of them actually lost his. So.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear.
Well, and we got him out, and he went back home, and that was the end of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but speaking of, staying on topic of fires, right? And so you kind of want to always watch your surroundings, what's going on. And, like, I live out here, not in the country, but I live outside city limits. And there's a lot of people that still burn trash. And
oh yeah.
so growing up, I remember people burning trash outside city limits. And then I know the county that I was from banned it. You couldn't do it anymore, but people still did it. So,
Oh,
but out here it's not banned. The only time you can't do it is like if there's a fire warning or a fire ban or high winds or something like that. But watching these people do it, you can really tell that, hey, if you're not careful, if you don't dig a trench or dig a pit and throw your stuff in and just make sure that nothing around it is flammable or it can easily catch on fire, then it's easy for that fire to get away, because some of these flames are taller than the house.
oh yeah, it doesn't take much. I remember, what was it? I think it was last year, or maybe it was January. I don't remember exactly. One of the fireworks we had taken, and we were doing fireworks off at your house.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
that
it was
was
a windy,
last year.
It was a windy night.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year. It was windy and whatnot, but I thought, we're being pretty safe, and we were on the gravel, and, we were pointing him in the right direction and taking all the precautions that we could. Well, I remember one that we lit. It didn't go up or anything, but it was a ground one, but it flew, I don't know, from the ground just a few feet up, and the wind caught it.
Yeah.
And boom, landed in the brush.
Yeah.
Or in the grass, and I mean, it didn't take but a half a second for it to, oh, hey, we're on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was, it's unfortunate I don't have a spigot out front.
Yeah.
But, we could have prevented it with buckets of water just in case, and, you learn.
Right.
You learn as you go, but yeah, we caught the front of my, just outside my flower bed on fire, and it was pretty interesting. Yeah. I know the girls were scared, but I was out there in my Crocs just putting it out.
Yeah. Anybody got to pee? I think it's time to pee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do it the old way. But how do you prepare for that? Like, how would and then I'm going back to what I was trying to get to in the first plot. But what would be the best plan of action to just say you couldn't get out? What do you do as a homeowner?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. Well, I think for all homeowners, apartment, whatever, I think it's always great to have a plan. Get with your family, have a plan. I'm sure, the fire department or what have you would recommend that you practice your plan, your fire drills, all that kind of thing. But at least have your family on the same page. Hey, if this happens, we're going to go. We have an exit point here. We have an exit point there. We have a plan A. We have a plan B. That way it's not just utter chaos.
Right.
That chaos is happening, but you kind of have some organization and, okay, we're going through this. I think a lot of times where people mess up is they don't have a plan and they panic.
Yes.
And when you're in that panic mode, you can be real forgetful. You can kind of freeze in your tracks, and time is a very valuable thing in these situations.
In emergency situations, yes, time it can either be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So, give a scenario. Like, say you have, you're living on a pretty big lot of land, 40 acres. Let's just give you 40 acres. And you live on the backside of it. And you have just a dirt road that leads you out to the main road. But if it's the front part of your property that's on fire, how do you get out of it? Do you just risk it, get in your vehicle, and just get to the main road with everything's on fire around you? Or do you have another escape plan? Do you have another route?
Yeah. Or even, do you have the tools, the supplies to try to put it out?
Yes.
Like you had mentioned, a garden hose, or maybe water isn't right for this type of fire, and I mean, you could get all in the weeds later, but different fires require different ways to be put out.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a chemical or electrical or
Grease.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Grease. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you properly put that out? And
Yeah. Do you have a fire extinguisher? Do you have whatever you need?
yeah, and I was talking to somebody about this, like, what would be the best plan? And they said, well, if I had that, because I gave that scenario, 40 acres, front part of your property is on fire, how do you get out? They said, well, if I had 40 acres, obviously I'm going to have a storm shelter. And they said,
Oh.
I would probably just get in the storm shelter and just wait it out.
And suffocate?
And I got to thinking, yeah, well, I mean, what does fire need to live? Well, you need a spark, you need fuel, and you need air.
Yeah,
and
you need that oxygen.
If you are contained in an underground container, that oxygen's going to get ripped right out of there.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the best solution.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
But
I would not think so. But I mean, I guess, I don't know, if you couldn't get away and you were isolated and you couldn't contact the authorities and you had to wait till this thing maybe died or something, I mean, I guess you're just slowing your own death. I don't know. Maybe you have oxygen tanks down there.
yeah, I mean,
But then what's to say that the fire doesn't make its way into your shelter?
exactly. How deep are you? What do you have?
And that's why you need a ham radio.
Do you have for your air duct system? Is it PVC or is it steel? How
Right.
cheap did you go? So
Yeah. Lots of things to consider.
it is a lot of things to consider, and it kind of sparked, pun intended, for me to think the opposite way.
You gonna start fires?
No.
Well, another statistic that I found, and this is for Texas, and this is just one website. It's from the FEMA website. But it has between 1990 and 2021, there were 199 on-duty firefighter fatalities. And to go along with that, it said in 2021, there were 112 home fires reported. And I think 78 fatalities.
For what year was that?
This was just 2021.
Oh, just last year.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. In 2021, it was 112 home fire fatalities. In 2022, so far, it's been 78 fatalities
Oh, wow.
for home fires.
Okay.
So, I mean, it just goes to show, I mean, that's not a huge number, but I mean, it's not also, well, only one in, however many people we have in this state. It's a growing number.
It is. And it's something that can be preventable.
Yeah. And even like right now, like I said earlier in the beginning, it's hot. We're not getting a lot of rain. Things are dry. Things are, it's not going to take much for a fire to get started, let alone stay lit.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're not cutting your yard, you're just contributing to the kindling for another fire to happen.
Cutting your yard, watering, and maybe you don't water your whole yard. Maybe, I mean, water, that stuff gets expensive.
Yeah, right now
but
it does.
Maybe water the perimeter.
Water keep the front and, what you don't want to burn in the back, keep it wet.
Yeah.
But keep it short.
Sure.
You don't want grass that's, shin high. Kind of keep it ankle high or a little lower than that if that's what you prefer. If you like a tight knit yard.
Yeah. But just some interesting stuff out there. Lots of ways you could try to prevent it or prepare for it in the event that it does happen. You're not just caught off guard. I mean, there's lots of statistics out there. They were saying on that FEMA website again, for 2019, for all fire casualties, there were about 2.1 deaths per 1,000 fires and 6.9 injuries.
Really?
Yep.
Mm-mm-mm.
And then for residential structure fire casualties, so again, like home fires, 5.5 deaths per 1,000 and 22 injuries per 1,000. So I mean, it adds up quickly.
It does. It does, and it stretches our resources thin.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
let's see. I'm on the National Intricacy Fire Center. Let's see. As of today, they've had 28,897. Excuse me, 97 wildfires
Dang.
as of today. In acreages burned is over 2 million.
And this is the country.
This is the country. This is whole
Yeah.
50
Holy
states.
cow.
Yeah. There's 3 large fires currently going on. They have 2 of them contained, and it's burned just over 760,000 acres.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's increasing. So they give like a 10-year span. So from 2022 to 2012, it's increasing as far as how many fires are being burned, how much acreages are being burned, and
Well, and if you consider about 1 acre is about the size of a football field, that's a lot of football fields. I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot of land.
it's a lot of land. It is a lot of land. So,
I know when the wife and I were on our anniversary trip last year, we went up to Oklahoma, and we were driving, and the median in the middle of the road, someone had thrown out their cigarette, and I mean, no kidding, the median just went up in flames. And eventually, you see the police there, and then you see the firefighters start showing up. But I mean, it's not growing like, oh yeah, in an hour, it spread an extra foot, an extra 2. Like, this thing was just like, nope, we're just going to start spreading now, and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like, holy cow, that didn't take any time.
wow. And I'm sure the road was just covered in smoke.
Oh yeah.
Mm-mm.
But it's just, I mean, again, it can happen so easily.
Well, see, we were driving back from the Metroplex to come back here, and there was a guy who had he was hauling something on a trailer. One of the steel links, I guess, had either come off of his truck. That it's not the sway bar, but it's the sway chains. One of those had either come unhooked or it broke, but it was underneath the trailer sparking.
Yep.
And I guess he didn't hear it or whatnot, but it caught the median grass on fire. So, not too big. But by the time we had got there, because I had passed him prior to, saw it, tried to wave him down, and of course is not paying attention. So then we stopped at a rest stop and did what we did, and we came back. On down the road, the fire we hadn't been stopped for maybe 5 minutes, and we got further down the road while the median was on fire, and it was about a football field's length. It was not that long.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. So, and there hadn't been emergency vehicles that had made it out there yet.
And this was in your Toyota Silverado?
Yeah. This was last year. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I had the Toyota Silverado then.
Yeah.
So, it's just, it boggles the mind on how quick this stuff can spread.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
And this is the time of year, I mean, obviously it's something to think about all the time, but now it's summertime. Maybe people are doing or thinking about doing like bonfires or camping, like you mentioned, fireworks, fire pit fires, or grilling, or driving with trailers, hauling whatever they're hauling. and not much rain, not much waterfall. It's dry, it's hot. Definitely time, if you haven't already, to start thinking about this stuff
Yeah,
and just kind of
definitely.
prep for it.
Yeah. Just kind of keep your eye out. If you have social media, get with the county sheriff's department that's in your area and just kind of see if they're monitoring anything or if anything's come up. If you had said something earlier. It's why you need a ham radio. If your local emergency services still run on that type of frequency, maybe you can tune into it. Obviously, don't transmit, but maybe you can tune into it and listen in. I know a lot of these guys are going digital now, so there's an app that you can listen to.
Sure.
For
Get
some of these stuff.
the information there as well.
Yeah, just know how you can get the information, and then have a plan to execute your plan. Have a plan that you can execute, and do what you need to do to protect yourself and your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Well-
Well, this hasn't been a hot topic, but it was a hot topic.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was good talking this topic with you, bud.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've enjoyed it. I always enjoy it. I've got a question for you, though, a little unrelated to this.
Yeah.
Are you a Taco Bell or Taco Bueno kind of guy?
I have to go with Taco Bell.
Really?
I am not much of a Bueno fan.
Please do tell.
Do you tell what? I like Taco Bell more than I like Taco Bueno. What?
Enough said. Okay. All right. Yeah, I like them both. There are some things that taste more real at Bueno,
Okay.
but I mean, you put it in front of me, I'll eat it.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't venture out when it comes to Mexican food. One, because my stomach can't handle it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, that's true.
Taco Bueno. So I usually get like the bean burritos when I go to Taco Bell, and I love onions, so I have them throw some extra onions in there.
Oh,
I know
yikes.
it's great. Don't hate on me, but
I'm a bean burrito with no onions kind of guy.
yeah, well,
Yep.
that says a lot about you. But
Some people call me hero, but I don't wear a cape, so.
so every time I go to Bueno and I try to get a bean burrito, it's just really dry. The burrito's dry.
You're not wrong about that.
The beans are
They're a
dry.
little smaller too.
Yeah, they are smaller. I feel like I get a better deal at Taco Bell. Again, I don't venture out when it comes to Mexican food because eventually we're going to have to stop at a Subway.
That's true. We've been there, ladies and gentlemen, and you do not want to be a part of that.
No, you don't. Nor do the Subway employees want to be a part of that.
Well, unfortunately, they were dragged into it, or they
No.
exposed themselves to
Yeah,
it.
they walked into that one. So,
Yeah. All right, follow-up question.
okay.
Are you loving it, or are you having it your way?
I'm loving it.
Okay.
Yeah, I am definitely loving it. I'm not much of a my way kind of a guy. Only when I
All right.
whisper into the drive-through microphone. So,
Can you give us an example?
yeah, they'll ask me what I want, and I'll some chicken nuggets. I'm like, I'm sorry, what would you? Some chicken nuggets. Okay, I think you said chicken nuggets. And I'd like some sauce. Just spread it all over my body. And they're like, come on, he's got to have it his way. Some people get excited.
Yeah.
And
I could see that.
I
can
don't.
see that.
I don't like exposing myself like that anymore. I'm a little older.
That's true. And you can breathe. Oh, wait, I mean, you can still talk, so you're breathing.
Yeah, sometimes, unless I'm on a trek.
Sometimes. That's true. Then you're... Well, we won't go there.
And I'm just eating it.
Yeah. Hey, there's a slogan. I'm eating it.
That's your slogan.
Yeah, as the kids would say, it be like that sometimes.
It do be like that. So, not speaking proper
Yes, sir.
English.
You know what it is?
I have no idea what it is. Half the time I'm lost.
Respect the drip.
You know, when I think of that, I think of me going into the doctor and explaining. Let's not get into that topic.
Yeah, let's save that for another time, and by another time I mean like when I'm eternally sleeping.
Okay, yeah. There's a topic. Would you prefer to be buried or burned?
Oh, yeah.
Or cremated, I think they call it.
Yeah, I think that's the official term. I think for me personally, I would just go buried.
Yeah.
When I was much younger, probably, I don't know, grade school, I thought it would be cool to be mummified.
Yes. Yeah, that sure
And
would.
And then I went through a phase of like, oh no, I want to be cremated. And now I'm thinking buried is the way to go.
Okay. All right. And why is that?
But my budget says just lay me on top of the ground, and it'll work itself out.
Yeah. That's you and me got the same budget. Yeah.
Yeah. We can just Skype the service since fuel is so expensive.
You are not.
It's not like I'll be able to tell anyway.
You are not lying. I filled up today, and it was $4.69 a gallon, and I could not believe it.
No, yeah, that. I know it. I filled up the other day at one of the cheaper gas stations in town, and just under $100 to go from empty to full.
Were you testing it out, or would you just like, I'll fill up today, and then after you got done, you just went, I shouldn't have filled up today.
Normally I'll throw in $20-$25 and I'll call it a good day. But my thought process at the time was, okay, if I throw in $20 or $25 today and then I'm back here in a couple days, what if it's at $5 a gallon or at $5.30 a gallon or whatever craziness? So I figured I'll go ahead and fill up all the way while it's, quote, sarcastically cheap, so that I don't have to deal with it later. That was my thought process.
Yeah, your wallet paid for it.
Yeah, it did.
Golly.
Yeah. But well, it's been great having you here on the show.
Yeah, I really appreciate you letting me come back.
Yeah, I'd invite you back, but stamps are expensive.
Well, you can get discount stamps at stamps.com. And go ahead and take that advertisement out, because we're not sponsored by them.
Not sponsored. No squelch. Speaking of, I'll just invite you via the ham radio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can use other means of radio communications.
We sure can. Which one of our listeners, they know who they are. But apparently some of our coworkers mix them up because they look like other people.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not all the same.
They're no. Well.
But he was speaking to us the other day, real quickly, about the radio conversations and episodes that we've had, and he was pretty interested, which was neat. It was neat to get that feedback and hear that.
Yeah, well, his comment was, I really thought that the radio episode would suck, but I actually really quite enjoyed it, which was nice to hear.
Oh, yeah.
So, shout out to said listener. He knows who he is.
Shout out.
And and we appreciate the feedback. So that's what we encourage. Give us feedback.
Yeah, please give us feedback. Positive or positive. We take it all.
We take all the positives.
Yep.
So
No, but seriously, engage with us. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you want us to talk about, or what you want to hear our opinion on, or just share your opinion.
yeah, exactly.
We won't blow up your email. We won't, send you hate mail. We'll probably use your name like crazy all over the show here so people know who said it. But other than that, no, I'm just kidding.
No, we wouldn't do that.
No.
SJ.
Yeah. That's true.
But all right, man. Well, it's been fun. It's been real.
It has been fun. It sure has been real. I'd say it's even been real fun.
Oh, I wouldn't go there. As always, we'd like to say thank you for stopping by and listening to the podcast.
Yeah, we realized that you could have been doing anything way more productive, but you chose to waste your time with us.
We look forward to talking about absolutely nothing with you next time.
If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at
jtandrewshow@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/jtdrewshow.